Okay, good morning. It is Thursday, April 23rd. I'm Mr. Kirkley. You are people listening to Mr. Kirkley. And I've got a different hat today, as you can see. This might be my favorite one so far. We'll see. Okay. Today we're talking about A Country Doctor by Kafka. This is probably his weirdest, maybe not his most disturbing, although it's really disturbing. I think A Penal Colony is probably more disturbing. But this one is very strange. So I'm just going to give you the setup, and then I'm going to tell you a few things to look for, and then just go for it and see what happens. All right. First of all, here's the deal. The story is about this guy who is a doctor out in the country, right? And there's a big storm, and bummer, last night his horse just died, right? So he has no way to get around. And he has a servant girl who lives there with him. So he hears from a patient out in the countryside, 10 miles away, who's desperately sick and needs him, but he has no way of getting there, right? So he's like, man, what am I going to do? I don't have any horse to tie up to my trap. A trap is like a little cart that you travel in, right? And so, sometimes it's called a gig. So anyway, he goes out to his pigsty and he opens the door, and miraculously, there's a guy in there, just randomly. He's called a groom. A groom is someone who takes care of horses. And the doctor's never seen this groom before, but there he is inside the pigsty. And the groom is like, hey, I've got 2 horses here for you. You want to use them? And so the doctor's like, wow, what great luck. And so the groom comes out with these 2 horses, and but he crawls out on all 4s, which is a little strange, right? And he gets the horses ready. So the doctor and the servant girl are like, wow, what wonderful luck, this is wonderful. And they're very happy until the groom grabs the girl and goes to kiss her, but instead of kissing her, bites her, right? Then the girl and the doctor are like, maybe something's wrong here. So anyway, but this doctor's got this seriously ill patient out in the countryside, and he's got to get to him. So they get the horses ready, and the doctor doesn't want to leave this weird evil groom there with his servant girl, so he's like, hey, you come with me to help me with these horses. And the groom says nope, slaps the horse's butt. The horses take off, and the doctor is off to the patient, and the groom chases the girl into the house. And we all know, not good news for the girl. All right, now these are magical horses, apparently, because they get to the patient's house almost immediately, even though there's this blizzard going on. So let's pause and talk about these 2 horses. We have to go back to Plato, I think, to understand the horses, or at least to have some ideas about them. Plato told the story of Phaedrus, who drove a chariot, and really it was a symbolic kind of metaphor for, I guess you should say it's more of a metaphor. I need more coffee, apparently. Hold on. Okay, so this story is about a metaphor for the soul. And so the soul is like this chariot, according to Socrates, although Plato tells the story. So according to Socrates, the soul is like a chariot being drawn by 2 horses. And the 2 horses represent the noble desires of our heart and the evil desires of our heart, or the low desires of our heart. And most people can't control the horses, and so the horses end up crashing to earth. But a few people learn to control their horses, and the horses take them to heaven. Okay, so that's kind of his metaphor for what the soul is like. So think about that in terms of this story. You've got the doctor who can't control these 2 horses. They just go, and he doesn't know how to control them, and they take him to his patient. So you're thinking, hey, this is good news. But they also take him away from his servant girl, who is likely being, at the very least, bugged by this groom. At the worst, probably a lot worse, as we'll see later in the story. So the doctor gets to the patient. The patient's this little boy, and weirdness ensues, right? Like the next passage is just super strange. So I'm just going to let you enjoy that by yourself without my explanation. But weirdness ensues, and then finally the doctor decides, oh man, I'll bet my servant girl is being um, molested by that guy. I got to get back. So the doctor runs out of the house, gets back on the chariot, goes to save his servant girl, but now the horses won't take him where he wants to go immediately, like they did when they brought him to the um, patient. And so he finishes this story by just like having so much guilt that he did this, that he left that girl alone with the groom, as you'll see when you read the story. Okay, so what does all this mean? Well, different people have different interpretations. One thing that, of course, is easy to see is that Kafka is trying to capture a sense of horror. And there's a lot of nightmarish quality to this story, and guilt, of course, again, and perhaps an inability to manage one's love life. The fact that this groom is there raping his servant girl and he doesn't know how to stop him is pretty significant in the story. So all of those things I think are part of it. And I think the overall mood of the story is meant to just horrify us, make us feel this anxiety and stress that Kafka believed is the true nature of life. So, again, happy times with that. I've also included in today's notes a link to a video that you will find is super creepy. That is like a little animated video about this story. So enjoy that. Okay, see ya.